Look at these two meals. On one side, we have food engineered to make your mouth water instantly. On the other, a stark, dry bowl of raw whole grains like millets. We have been conditioned from childhood to view these grains as a bitter medicine we have to swallow to stay healthy, while treating ultra-processed junk food as a well-earned reward. Nutritionists categorize this divide into two main types of food. The raw grains are hypopalatable, meaning they naturally have a very low taste profile. The processed foods are hyperpalatable, meaning their flavors are artificially cranked up to extreme levels. The standard advice for bridging this massive gap in taste is to rely on raw mental discipline. We try to force ourselves to eat bland, hypopalatable foods through sheer willpower. But biological discipline does not work that way. Willpower functions exactly like a battery. Throughout the day, as you suppress your cravings, that charge depletes. When it hits zero, your brain overrides your intentions and automatically steers you straight back to high-calorie junk food. The act of forcing yourself to chew through a meal you actively hate triggers a severe biological response. Your body releases a massive surge of cortisol. Cortisol is the body's primary stress hormone, designed to trigger a fight-or-flight response during emergencies. A steady stream of this stress hormone wreaks havoc on your metabolism and actively neutralizes the nutritional benefits of the healthy grains you just forced down. By fighting your food, you cause a biological backfire that defeats the entire purpose of the diet. To understand why we crave the processed food so intensely, we have to look at how it is manufactured. Food scientists engineer products to hit what is known as the Bliss Point, a mathematically precise ratio of salt, sugar, and fat. This chart shows how the Bliss Point ratio interacts with neurochemistry. The specific combination of these three ingredients directly stimulates the brain's dopamine receptors. Dopamine is a chemical messenger controlling feelings of pleasure and reward, creating an artificial loop of addiction. Looking at a cross-section of a hypopalatable grain like millet, we see why it lacks chemical appeal. Notice the biological anatomy. There is a strict absence of gluten bonds, the structural proteins making dough soft, and a complete lack of natural lipid, or fat, layers. Whole grains are not inherently bad tasting. They simply do not contain the specific chemical structures that our modern, dopamine-driven brains have been conditioned to crave. Instead of fighting that biological conditioning with willpower, we can use culinary science to hack the grains themselves. Culinary science is the application of chemistry and physics to cooking techniques. The first method addresses the missing lipids. By introducing a small amount of external fat, like golden ghee, cold-pressed sesame oil, or coconut milk, you change the dry physical structure of the grain into something moist and naturally appealing to the palate. The second method is fermentation. When you soak and ferment grains to make batter, the process physically breaks down the hard, complex starch molecules, transforming them into simpler, easily digestible probiotic structures, live beneficial bacteria supporting gut health. As these starches break apart, they generate a highly craveable umami flavor. Umami is a savory, rich taste profile, one of the 5 basic tastes your tongue naturally detects. The third method is texture pairing. Because millets lack internal moisture, their biological structure makes them highly porous. When cooked with rich, spiced gravies or vegetable stews, they act like sponges, absorbing flavors like cumin, pepper, and garlic directly into their core. By introducing fats, fermenting starches, and pairing textures, you apply basic chemistry to bridge the gap between a dry grain and your brain's biological desire for a reward. The food tastes genuinely good, completely eliminating the need for willpower. Once the chemistry is solved, the final step is psychological. We need to stop viewing a diet as a strict test of character and start treating it as a long-term, sustainable relationship with our food. If you try to overhaul your habits overnight, your body will rebel. Immediately swapping a standard, highly processed diet for a 100% whole grain menu causes intense physical and psychological shock, confusing your digestive system and spiking your stress levels. Instead, use the 50-50 rule. Start by mixing 50% of your standard polished rice with 50% whole grains, like barnyard millet, in your batter or daily meals. This gives your palate and your gut microbiome the time they need to adapt gradually. And when you inevitably eat hyperpalatable foods, whether it is a slice of cake or a plate of biryani, the single most critical rule is to eat it with zero guilt. Feeling guilty about a meal tells your brain you have made a dangerous mistake, triggering another release of stress cortisol. Mindful indulgence, eating slowly, calmly, and with full appreciation, keeps your stress levels flat, allowing your brain to naturally signal when you are full. When you combine culinary science with psychological balance, you stop fighting your own biology. True nutritional wellness is exactly this state, where your daily food is engineered for actual enjoyment and your indulgences are eaten without a single trace of stress.